Welcome aboard the 4 to 7 pod.
The real
Chris
4 to
and
7.
Jerry, the real 4 to 7 pod. None of that, bullshit from SNY. Sending the cease and desist letter will be in the mail shortly.
It's all the rage these days.
Yeah, seizing and desisting. It's that's what people are doing in the big 2025. They are seizing and desisting. It's like it's like the new edging basically. But yeah, we are back with our last episode pre All-Star break. So, let's get into it. The Yankees coming off their best win of the season. They were getting no hit for 7 2/3 by Brian Wu, but then they score. They score 5 unanswered runs over the 8th and the 9th, and then they win it in extras. But I would be remiss, since we are a New York baseball pod. We would be remiss if we didn't start with a little belated recap, a little cleanup from the Subway Series this past weekend. Congratulations on the World Series. Both teams have won one World Series this year, so it's very
This is what it
impressive.
feels like.
Yeah, very
Wow.
impressive.
Wow. This is great. Never knew.
Yeah, very, very impressive that both teams have managed to win a World Series this year. Perhaps.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make room back here. I have to move another banner.
Yeah. Luckily, I got room for days on my walls for banners. So, even though I'm not utilizing the space is the problem. But yeah, we'll have to. We'll have to get one up there, and who knows, we might need to make room for another one. In a few months, who knows? Probably not, but you never know. But obviously, so both teams have now played a series since the Subway Series. But I'll let you. I'll let you reminisce on better times. Who am I if I didn't allow that?
I am just amazed that staff was able to do that against a team that has some of those bats, which, yeah, there's one bat that's clearly better than everyone else, but Cody Bellinger has consistently killed the Mets no matter
What
which uniform he wears. You have Stanton, you have Jazz. We get the jokes off about one or two good hitters, and they will continue. But that whole series, as a Met fan, aside, I'm not even sure you count Frankie Montas because he needed to acquit himself. So that whole series, you're just like, all right, get to the inning. Okay, all right, let's get two more here. Let's keep padding on. And credit Jack Ramsey for this. The Mets got 63 outs in that series from pitchers not named Edwin Diaz, Huascar Brazaban, and Ryan Stanek, which I might have to take Stanek out of that circle after today's little shenanigans.
Yes.
With 63 outs when they were running out Rico Garcia and Justin Hagenman, which, again, hopefully that was the end of that today. But winning tight games, and even the Saturday game, the 12-6 is going to look like, okay, well, that was just a rout. And they pulled away, but that was a game for long stretches.
Yeah, no, that was a game for the first 7 innings until Pete hit the the grand slam in the bottom of the 7th.
I was ready to get JV and Sandra jokes off, and then I found out he used to pitch in the conference that I work in. He went to Lynn, which is where Tommy Canley went to. He's the second player ever from Lynn, so I'm gonna hold off on that. But in the 4th of July game, Stanek and Diaz had both basically emptied the tank on the night before to win the Brewers series. So It was, all right, well, you need to get 9 outs from somebody. Where are you getting it? And Reed Garrett, who had really just gone through a pretty rough patch himself, gets 6 outs somehow, which heretofore that game will be known as the Jeff McNeil game, not just for the fact that he hit the home run, but the fact that he makes the play on DJ to make sure Judge never gets up, which was just as big because that the eighth and ninth innings of those games were basically like, hey, look, man, you can't let anybody on in the eighth because that means Judge will be up in the ninth. And
Yeah.
jokes aside, you really don't want that. You don't even want to have that possibility come up. You don't want to, lest that be the time he breaks out of it. Like you don't tread there if you don't have
Yeah,
to.
and it's
So
it's
get
still
these
only
six right
July,
now.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
still
get
only
these
July.
six
Maybe you
here.
feel better about that in October.
And credit to Reed Garrett, which no, I don't think anybody really had that much faith given the run he'd been on, but Reed Garrett went out there and did it. And then to be able to find a way to manage through on Saturday, which credit Montes. And I didn't know how that game was going to go because I figure I don't feel like it ever goes well for former Yankees pitching against them, and
Yeah,
especially
usually.
after the Pittsburgh outing. But 5 2/3 with 4 runs, and it really should have been 2 because in the sixth inning, like he was getting dinked and dunked to death. It wasn't necessarily that he was fatiguing and he was just leaving meatballs. Like he was getting beat every which
Yeah, there
way.
are some. Yeah, there are a couple of like bloop singles in that inning that led to a couple of runs.
And
So
then
it
in that
wasn't
game, with the results still in doubt, Richard Lovelady gets 3 or Dickie Lovelady. Sorry, this is this is canon now, Dickie. I'm sorry.
yeah,
He gets 3 outs. Chris Davinsky comes in and gets an out. And then Stanek to make sure, like, hey, this is done. And I didn't have a problem with them throwing Diaz in a 12-6 game, mostly because, like, hey, look, we couldn't use him yesterday. We have no guarantee that we're going to use him tomorrow. We have an off day Monday. We already warmed him up. What is the point of warming your closer who you want to close games like this? Why burn him to not use him? Like that would be frustrating if we got him up and he threw 25 pitches in the bullpen and then he just doesn't come in. You might as well use him at that point. So
yeah, and
that one was fine.
yeah, and he would probably be pissed about that too.
Yeah, because every guy wants that shot, no matter
Yeah,
what.
because I remember thinking like, oh, they probably won't. I was like there. I was at the game on Saturday, and I remember like telling my friend Justin like, oh yeah, like they're probably not gonna once once the Mets score some more runs. I was like, yeah, they're probably not gonna bring Diaz out here. Yeah, they started warming up Pop, right, and like I was like, they'll probably just bring him out, but and then like if anything gets dicey, then Diaz is like ready to go, but. I think it had been a couple of days before that that Diaz hadn't pitched too. So I think that you kind of needed to it kind of worked out like that you were able to get him some work at that point, and
I do
then
think with Pop, if that inning had lasted maybe 3 or 4 more minutes, he probably gets in there just because I don't think he had enough time to get properly stretched out. And at that
yeah,
point,
properly
well,
hot.
like Diaz is fully ready. You
Yeah,
would hate to get him loose and not throw him.
it's
Better to
yeah
have your closer who is ready than the guy you just brought in off the street who's at maybe 50%
yeah. Like
getting ready against that
even if you're
lineup.
trying to even if you're trying to preserve your closer, I feel like there's probably a bigger risk of Pop coming in not hot and injuring himself than Diaz coming in hot
Or
and
making a mess
injuring
of it,
himself. Yeah, or making a mess of it. So
which he did the next day.
yeah, so I think it yeah, so I think it did work out in the long run.
Thankfully, we are done with Zach Pop. That's like I like that. That's become a thing. Like I've seen a lot of after today. It's like hopefully that's the last time we see Justin Hagenman and
Yeah.
Brandon Waddell.
Yeah, and Zach Soda.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Phil Koch
yeah.
was right there.
Right? Yeah. Phil Koch, Phil Koch, the original to do it. Yeah, I mean, for us, obviously, I feel like I'm singing a very different tune now than I was this past weekend because now it's like, okay, like you finally learn from your mistakes. You move Jazz back to second base, which why didn't you do that like a month earlier? You DFA DJ. It feels good to be free of that.
I can't lie. I thought when the camera popped on tonight, I was going to see you doing the Watusi on a prop grave that said LeMahieu on it.
I'll let him enjoy his $22 million somewhere. I'm just glad he's gone. He had some decent moments as a Yankee, earlier in his career, but it was beyond time. It was well overdue for DJ to get DFA'd. But it's like, all right, you finally, it's like, okay, look what happens when you play players at their correct position, uh, and you actually set a lineup that like makes fucking sense and bat players like where it makes sense to bat them in the lineup. And look what happens. You can sweep other playoff teams or teams that are in the running for the playoffs.
Wow.
But yeah, what a concept, right? But obviously, we're singing a very different tune, and like the Mets definitely did expose some, credit to them. They were definitely the better team, over the series. We have officially we split for the year. Each team won three of the 6 games. I remain winless at Subway Series games. Add Saturday's performance to the Sean Estes Roger Clemens game and the Ty Wigginton 2-home run game on like 4th of July, like 20 something years ago, 21 years ago, I think. Add it to the list, but I do think the Mets.
David, I have an idea.
You have an idea? Let's hear it.
Well, no, I was just saying, if you never want to lose the Subway Series again, hook this man up.
Yeah, no, that is that's not a terrible idea, honestly. Like, I mean, if he's hooking me up free tickets, I'm not gonna not go. So
Listen,
that could be the way to sabotage. Although I don't know, in this hypothetical, it's like if Steve Cohen's hooking me up with free Subway World Series tickets, like it's like I have to go, but what? But like I can't say no to that. But like, man, if we lose, it's
this is like that hypothetical where it's like, would you flip a coin if heads meant $10 billion in your direct deposit today? Tails means you're dead instantly.
yeah. Yeah, I think
that I can relate.
I'd play with those.
In 2012, I went to 3 different Mets games, and in 2 of them, Jason Bay homered. And I'm like, I think I figured out what the solution is.
Yeah.
You want to salvage this contract? Holler at your boy.
Yeah, you gotta spend money to you gotta spend money to make the other money that you spent look better.
Yeah,
you gotta buy a case when you buy a new phone. You gotta protect your investment.
Naturally, Fred and Jeff did not want to spend money for the case.
Mm-mm. Jason Bay was the cell phone. You were the case, and yeah, they dropped the phone.
Yep,
screen's cracked.
Right. As soon as they walked out the store.
Yep. As soon as they walk out the store, just boom, right in the parking lot. You get the splatter everywhere on the phone, like just like
yeah. Time you get ready to show up to your friends, and it's just
they didn't buy the warranty either.
Nope.
But yeah, no, the Mets did expose some problems for the Yankees, which some of those problems I do think are still definitely problems. For one, they exposed a lot of issues with our bullpen. Luke Weaver hasn't really. I mean, he had a decent showing last night, but yeah, Luke Weaver, that was not exactly not exactly his finest work. Pretty sure his ERA has been like in the 6s or the 7s, like since coming back from the injury. So he needs to kind of figure it out, I think. And I do think overall that the Yankees bullpen did get kind of exposed in this series. Cause I mean, in game one, Stroman only gives up 3 runs through 5 innings. Like, given what I've seen from Stroman at times this year and just throughout his career, like you got to take that. And especially like, especially since, like, because like we were ahead after Stroman came out of the game. It's like you got to feel pretty good about that. But then the bullpen pisses that game away. And then in game 2, Rodon definitely didn't have his best stuff, and I mean, obviously the Mets jumped on him early. Brandon Nimmo hit a grand slam, and it was 4-0 before we even got to our seats.
Oh
So
no,
yeah,
that's tough.
yeah. So like we're not even at our seats yet, and I'm like, all right, well, this is gonna be another. This is probably gonna be another loss, I guess. But even then, like after that, like the Yankees were able to make it a game, which, given how Frankie Montas has pitched, you kind of expected that game to be a barn burner, and ultimately down the stretch of that game. The Yankees just didn't have enough bullpen help to be able to salvage the start, even after they were able to, after they were able to get back in the game. But
And then if you
uh,
had told me before Sunday started, hey, you're going to have Fried out of the game after 5 innings, and you're going to be bullpenning it. All right, deal. Figure out a way to make it work after that. That's the guy that's owned us for however many years with different uniforms, and not only that, like Fried had an excellent start against us in May. So yeah, take that and run. It just the bullpen leaked just enough, and just enough weird things happened. Like I even in real time, I saw the broadcast like trying to contend that maybe Bellinger didn't catch that. No, he caught that clean.
no,
That
that was a catch.
he made a hell of a play, made a great throw. I
That
can't
was
blame Lindor for going halfway. I saw people
yeah,
try to say if he slides back into first, he beats that. He wouldn't have. Like
yeah,
Bellinger's got a great arm too. Like it was a
yeah,
phenomenal play.
yeah. That play could have low key kind of been like the turning of the tides for the Yankees season, like with the way
Yeah,
they were, with the way they were trending towards from June swoon to July goodbye. Shout outs to Case for that one. But the way the season was trending, and just like all the terrible defense, like all the defensive blunders that they've had, and then for him to make that play, to like essentially to like basically not put the game away, but if he doesn't make that play, I don't think we win that game.
yeah. That
Um,
that kind of felt like, hey, look, that was like you have the heart of your order coming. You know, Lindor's on base. That was Soto's ball.
yeah,
And if you're not going to break through here after you've got Max Fried out of the game and you've done damage against their bullpen already, like this is the spot to do it. And if you can't get it here, it's probably not your day. And that for it to break the way it did, that's like the all right. It's not over, but
yeah,
that was the moment.
yeah, and Freed did have a pretty good game up until the fifth inning, when like when they kind of started to they kind of started to get to him a little bit, and then they bring him out for the sixth, which they probably shouldn't have. And then the rest of the bullpen was just like, I mean, Devin Williams, I think, has like settled back into the closer role pretty nicely as of late. Tim Hill in general is pretty good, but you can only use him so much, and you need another lefty reliever.
Yes.
That is definitely something that we're lacking. And
You
then
would
like
like to have a low leverage lefty, or having a guy that I mean, I think back to 2006 with the Mets. Like Pedro Feliciano was the guy you brought in where it's like, all right, hey, runners at second and third, there's one out in the eighth, and it's a 1-run game. You need this guy to handle this spot. Darren Oliver was the lefty where it's like, hey, look, can we get 2 innings out of you? Because like Darren Oliver wasn't just a loogie. He was a guy that it's like, if you needed to save your bullpen, he could do that. But if you also needed, if Feliciano had already been burned and you needed Oliver to get one guy, he could do that too. Like you need that second lefty that can handle the high leverage spots, but more ideally, it's like, hey, look, we just need an inning here, and we don't want to burn Tim Hill tonight. And they got 2 lefties coming up. Can you take care of this?
yeah, I feel like that's I know we did Boomer takes a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like that's kind of like a bit of a lost art, is like matching the lefty with the lefties of their lineup. And obviously teams, most managers set their lineup so that it's like, so that they're alternating, so that you can't really do that with the three batter minimum, which obviously makes
Yeah.
sense. But there are definitely spots where like it makes sense, and for to like put a lefty out against their lefties, especially like if it's like two of their best hitters, you want to have a good lefty that can go up against like the best lefty hitters. Um, so that's definitely an area of need. And then with like Mark Leiter Jr. and Johnny Lasagna at this point, it's like you don't know what you're getting anytime they come out.
That was my one hope on Sunday was like, man, I know
Yeah,
Yankee fans are not happy with this guy right now. Like this has to be the spot. And it didn't.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I thought they were gonna blow it. Like even after the Yankees won that game, like it was like hard to even really like hard to even really celebrate. Like like sometimes you win a game, but you don't really feel like the vibes are back. Like I didn't really
Yeah.
feel like the vibes. Like I didn't really feel like the vibes were back after the Yankees won. But after tonight though, I'm gonna say the vibes are officially back. They're all the way back.
I, listen, you get no hit for 7 innings and you win. No, you should. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like I was honestly at a point where I was like, I was like, we're not gonna win this game anyway. Like, I kind of wouldn't mind him seeing him no hit us. Like, because I remember like 3 years ago, the Yankees got no hit. Like, it was a team no hitter to the Astros, and
Yeah.
I was like not happy about that at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure I purposely like fell asleep towards the end of that game so that I wouldn't have to see us get no hit. Because like number one, I mean, I know we had a little bit of we had a little discussion about you know individual no hitters versus team no hitters and the significance of that. But like to get no hit by the Astros like really pissed me off. But like Brian Wu, he's been a great pitcher all year. One of the more underrated, pitchers in baseball, I would say. And so there was even a point where I was like, if we're not going to win this game, like might as well get no hit.
That happened. The 2015 Mets got no hit twice. Max Scherzer did it the last weekend of the regular season, which I can't remember if we had a full lineup out or not. Like, because I think at that point it was like, okay, we're definitely playing the Dodgers. We're not going to have home field. Let's pick our spots. But it was
Yeah,
still one of those things where it's like, all right, Max Scherzer got you, and he already had one this year anyway. Like,
yeah, which should have been a
okay,
perfect game, but Jose Tabata leaned into it.
oh God, yeah. The one earlier in that year was the Giants had a rookie named Chris Heston, who actually grew up here in Brevard County, where I live, and I think might have pitched in the majors the next year, and that was it. Like that was the highlight of Chris Heston's career. And I'll never forget, like the thing that like people really started getting mad at the offense at that point. And I'll never forget the thing that really sparked everything was the next month. They played the Dodgers and they were facing Kershaw, and this was the year where it was him, Greinke, and Arrieta all could have won the Cy. And going into that game, people were like, they might get no hit because I think like John Mayberry Jr. was hitting cleanup or something. And people were, they might get perfect game tonight. And sure enough, like Kershaw took a perfect game into like the 6th. And I think he took a no-hitter into the 7th. And it was like, holy crap, you can actually call it with this lineup. And I think within a week, like Uribe and Johnson were on board. And I think a couple days later, they called Conforto up, and then Cespedes was there a few days later. So, like, yeah, to your point, like getting no hit at home in a national TV game, I think it was. I don't know if that was on national TV or not. But to have that happen, like that's got to be one of those, like, okay, yeah, maybe just getting rid of DJ wouldn't have solved all of this. Like,
Right.
you still got, like I've said, Eugenio Suarez is out there, and
Yeah.
him pitching for or him hitting in your park would scare the
Yeah.
bejesus out of me, especially with the
Yeah.
year he's having.
Oh yeah. All the rumors seem to be pointing towards that happening.
Oh boy.
I still gotta, like every report seems to be that the Yankees' top priority is getting a third baseman, and that seems like Eugenio Suarez is like the top, the top guy that they're after. Because I mean, if you think about it, he's kind of the only realistic option. Like, yeah, we joked about like, oh yeah, if you're the Yankees, you got to call the Giants, but the Giants didn't trade for Rafael Devers just to trade him again.
No.
um, the Orioles are probably not trading within the division to us. Um, and then, like the Guardians are having a down year, but they're not trading Jose Ramirez. The Giants also aren't going to trade Matt Chapman. They just signed him to a long-term deal. So like this is really like the only realistic option. The only downside is that, it probably, there's a good chance it ends up being a 1-year rental. I still got to see it happen to believe it. I think if I'm the Yankees, I'm trying to get this done sooner rather than later before the Diamondbacks potentially get hot.
Well, I think with all the pitching issues that the Diamondbacks have, I don't know if you'll have to worry about that. But
This is
interested.
true, but we're right. We're right up against the All-Star break now, so like there is going to be some time like for some guys to get healthy and get right. Obviously, they got some guys that are like out for the season, but it's a weird baseball's a weird fucking sport. Anything can happen. So you know I'm keeping a close eye on the Diamondbacks, and if the losses, with every loss that as soon as they lose tonight, hopefully they do lose. They're currently, I think they're
They are
currently
losing.
down. They're down 4-2 to the they're down 4-2 to, or now it's 4-3. Now the comeback begins. Here we go. The price just went up. But yeah,
How would you feel about Nolan Arenado?
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'm good on Aaron now.
I realize he's not Rockies Nolan Arenado, but I would think it would be an upgrade on what you have, but that's fair.
It would be, but it would be an upgrade, but again, it's another one of those things where it's a 30, 34, 35-year old 1 year, like 1 year rental, and yeah, he's not really he's really not hitting the way he used to. I mean, obviously he'd be an upgrade from Peraza. I mean, Peraza, he's a pro, and he's there for he's there for his versatility and his defense, but he's really, I think everyone knows he's really not a major league hitter, unfortunately. So like anything offensively, really would be an upgrade from that or from DJ. But to me, Nolan Arenado ain't it. Like, to me, if we get anyone other than Eugenio Suarez, I think that has to be looked at. I think that has to be looked at as a failure.
Oh, okay. I, I I was kind of bummed that you had referenced Jose Ramirez because I was ready to sprinkle out the idea of, hey, look, why don't we get a left side of the infield reunion in Queens? The Guardians really didn't want to give him that deal anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Something like that could be. I guess anything's possible if you like. I was gonna say we should. I would say we should just sell the farm for Clase and Ramirez. I mean, if you get
rallied, I will say.
yeah, you'd have to start with that would kind of get two birds stoned at once for us. But I mean, you'd have to start with Spencer Jones to even
Yeah,
have a conversation about that trade happening. And I'm not one to and I'm not necessarily one to prospect hug, especially when you're in like a win now season. But I don't know, it just doesn't seem realistic. So I haven't really entertained it too much, and I really don't want to trade Spencer Jones.
it is worth mentioning, and I mean, because I know people will bring up the Pete Crow Armstrong thing, and I've said my piece with that. It's like I wasn't crazy about trading him at the time, but I was also kind of like, hey, it's the cost of doing business. Like
Right.
some, and like I've said, I would rather it work out in a way where, hey, Javi Baez held up his end. Just because the team didn't doesn't mean that was a failure. I would rather you give up Pete for or PCA for someone that was actually good, as opposed to you give up Scott Kazmir for a number 3 starter who was never any good. Like everyone knew that was bad the moment they did it.
Yeah.
But
And then
that year in 2021, the Mets had a guy with Pete Crow Armstrong in St. Lucie named Alex Ramirez, and he put up numbers in St. Lucie that year, and then for the first month or so of the next season, and then they moved him up, and he kind of became a name amongst all the other baby Mets that were in the system. But Alex Ramirez was supposed to be the next outfielder that broke through for the Mets. He never got above Binghamton, and I believe a week or two ago they just outright cut him. Like, for every Scott Kazmir or Pete Crow Armstrong or something like that, there's hundreds of guys like that are top 5 in the organization, top 3 in the organization, top 50 in baseball that never even get there.
right.
And I saw some Yankee fans before we set up, I saw people talking about Peraza that way, where it's like, well, Volpe and Glaber were already ahead of him. Why didn't they just cash? I don't know if this was about Cabrera too, but it may as well be, where it's like you had all these infielders. Not all of them were going to stick. Like, just the numbers says they won't stick. This is
Yeah.
just the law of averages. You might as
Right.
well have cashed in on one of them. And now, like, Glaber's gone for nothing.
Yep.
Volpe's out here
Yeah,
getting
and
the ire of the fan
looking
base.
better than ever. Yeah, and Volpe, Volpe is, shout outs to Volpe for the nice slide and the best win of the season tonight, and for helping us, win that game in that regard. But he was only there because he was hell hacking for whatever reason the inning before and couldn't get it done. But,
Now his dad's out here going 1 on 50,000.
yes. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Really knows how to, just like his son, he really knows how to pick his battles. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard someone in an Italian accent yell Leroy Jenkins, but we were close.
Yeah.
Damn close.
Let's do this.
At least I have chicken.
Leroy Jenkins.
Oh my God, he actually fought all of them.
Oh, he just went in there.
God damn it, Leroy.
It's so good because I feel like there's so many people as like that might be like the only time like they've ever seen like World of Warcraft like from like watching that video.
Every once in a while someone posts a video of that being, well, not the video of the thing itself, but like it was a Jeopardy question, and every once in a while someone will just post the clip of it being asked, and it's just 3 people just like this. Beep beep beep. What is the World of Warcraft? Ron is still your board.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a might be a deep cut for Jeopardy.
Very deep
cut. But yeah, Volpe Leroy Jenkins his way into home plate the same way his dad Leroy Jenkins his way into almost fighting a bunch of drunk Met fans at Citi Field at the last day of the Subway Series. But
that feels like a win for us. Like,
like it almost
seen one of ours getting his ass whooped in the Bronx like this. And I'm not encouraging, like, I'm not saying, harass players. Like, no, of course not.
Harass players' parents.
But, like, we were talking about this before we went on air. It's like, the video that went out, it's 45 seconds of just 2 Italians calling each other an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what started it. I don't know how long this was going. I don't know what escalated it. All I know is I just saw these 2 dudes ready to go and then not actually fighting. So I assume security was there moments later and nothing actually happened. But to see someone in the Yankee cinematic universe getting rattled to that degree. I like,
Yeah,
man,
no, you
that
gotta.
just doesn't happen for us.
Yeah, no, you gotta take your W's when you can, and I mean, yeah, it seems like I don't know what happened either. You know, I haven't really heard too much about it, other than the same video that we've all seen. But yeah, it just seems like it just like it's one of those things where like if Anthony Volpe's dad like was being an asshole in that situation and like he was actually like in the wrong because like like usually I 100% agree like yeah don't harass players, like don't harass their parents. I mean, I think heckling players is fine as long as you're like cool about it, like
Right.
don't be saying like personal shit or like fucked up shit to them. But like a good fun banter is like part of the game. But you don't want to like get personal with people. These are human beings. But at the same time, like if Anthony Volpe's dad was doing something like where he was in the wrong, like that wouldn't surprise me.
I, perfect example, and I say this because I have the Braves game on right now. A couple of years ago in the playoffs, when Arcia got caught yelling "Attaboy Bryce" when the game ended on the double play,
Oh
and then
yeah,
like the whole fake controversy that came from that.
right.
They go to Philly, and Philly, just some drunk asshole Philly fan. He's from Philly. I assume he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Just kept yelling, "Attaboy Arcia!" Like just
Mhm.
and not saying anything else, but like just doing the attaboy back to him, and they were winning. And Arcia clearly is like I can't remember exactly what, but like clearly was like, "Hey, shut the fuck up." To the point that like the other Braves are like, "Hey, dude, the game's going on." Like
Yeah,
that's where it's like,
like
okay, it's bothering him.
stay engaged.
You you can't be listening to that when a playoff game's going on, man. Not
Yeah,
one you're playing in.
no.
And it's from what I could tell, they weren't saying anything out of line. They weren't cursing. They were just saying what he said back to them. Like that's the way to do it.
Yeah, just a little friendly trolling, but tonight was probably tonight probably was the best win of the season. Last night was also a pretty good night for the Yankees with our boy Cam Schlittler making his MLB debut, and
Hitler was full.
yeah, trying not to trying not to overreact too much, but was definitely definitely slitting my pants watching him. Yeah,
I never thought I'd say this as a Met fan, but John Sterling, you are missed because, buddy.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure he would have. I'm sure he would have had fun. I feel like he would have said something very unintentionally funny.
Oh, absolutely.
Although I will also say, this was like my first time in New York in a while, and like I finally actually got to kind of like listen to a little bit of Dave Sims on the radio, and he's great. They
Oh
picked
yeah.
they picked a great replacement.
Oh yeah.
But Schlittler was he was shoving last night. Went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. And the stuff looked nasty. Like it feels like it's been, obviously we have Garrett Cole, who, he hopefully when he comes back from TJ, he'll still be tapping like 98, 99. But it's been a long time since the Yankees have had like a prospect pitcher come out through their system, especially like a starter who's just throwing gas like that. Clark Schmidt has turned out to be Clark Smith's turned out to be a fine a fine starting pitcher for our rotation, but he tops out in like the low to mid 90s. Um, like it's been a while since we just had someone come up and who's just hurling 100 like he's probably not Paul Skeens, but like someone like that can just throw, that's just young, exciting, and throws gas. So,
Question.
and that could be with the Clark Schmidt injury. He needs Tommy John as he got hurt. He got hurt again. He left one of the games when we got swept by the Blue Jays. He left after like 3 innings with like elbow tightness, and he needs Tommy John. So I mean, if Schlittler can can or Schlittler can slide into that spot. I still think that the Yankees should be in the market for a they should be in the market for a starter as well as a reliever. I think at the deadline, but if he could kind of slide into that spot, I think that could go a long way.
Question, because obviously I don't know Yankee prospects as well as you do. Had there been any buzz, like even before the Schmidt injury and the spot opened up, so that like something had to be done? But had there been talk, like even coming out of spring training, that hey, this kid might pop in here eventually, or was it, hey, if he gets a shot, he might be able to run with this? And I say this only because it's funny to look back in retrospect. I will always remember, I think it was the year before DeGrom debuted. They had a doubleheader where they were going to have an extra spot open up, and they just didn't have anybody. And it was between him and Henry Mejia. And they were like, everyone was still really big on Mejia at this point, and he hadn't even become the closer yet. It was very much, they were still trying to make him a starter. And it was, well, they could go Mejia, but there's also this guy in Vegas, DeGrom. They would probably just bring him up for one game, but like his numbers are kind of nice. Maybe they should give him a shot. Nah, it'll probably be Mejia. And it ended up
Yeah.
being him for that game. But it's funny to look back now and think like, man, he was just sitting there and we had no idea.
Right.
Is Schwittler one of those, or is it like they were just waiting for something to open?
I think he, to my knowledge, I mean, he was a 7th round pick in 2022. I hadn't heard a whole lot about him. Like, I'm sure, I'm sure he did make some, I'm sure he made some appearances in spring training. But there wasn't a whole lot of buzz. Like, it wasn't like one of those things where it's like, oh, like, we have this, like, oh, we have this guy. When are we calling him up? There wasn't a whole lot of there wasn't a whole lot of buzz, in that regard. I think he was like I think he was like our 24th ranked prospect or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Or he was our 10th ranked prospect. I'm sorry. So I mean, he was a top 10 prospect, but I mean, there's also pitchers. There's also like a lot of pitching prospects ahead of him in the system, like as far as the prospect rankings go.
Yeah.
Uh, so I hadn't really heard a whole lot about him, but yeah, it seems like it just kind of it kind of the stars kind of just aligned, and so far it's only one start, but he answered the challenge. So and given Matt Blake and our pitching factory's track record with like young starting pitchers, like Clark Schmidt has turned out to be pretty good. Luis Heel just won Rookie of the Year, and Cam Schlittler looks really good last night. I would definitely excited to see more of him going forward. Hopefully,
I don't, and I don't mean this in a trolling aspect, but Blake worked with Montgomery, right? Like, even it's like just having guys that can go out there and be productive for you. Maybe they don't necessarily
yeah,
win accolades or anything, but it's like, all right, hey, yeah, every fifth day we're gonna be fine. He'll give us a shot.
yeah. No, he did work with Montgomery. I mean, Montgomery was there for so long too. Like, so he wasn't there the whole time, but I believe we hired Matt Blake. I want to say we hired Matt Blake in like I want to say like 2019
Oh,
or something
wow.
like that. Like I think after, yeah, like I think after like the first year or two of Boone, they changed pitching coaches.
Was he directly after Rothschild, or am I going back? Am I mixing up timelines here?
He was directly after Rothschild, I believe. So the Yankees hired him like at the end of 2019, like
Okay.
for like so he's been our pitching coach since 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they hired Matt Blake, and then like a month later they signed Cole. But man, like next year
Yeah.
too, like if this kid could be the goods, I mean, you're looking at Cole, Max Fried, Luis Heel, Cam Schlittler, or I forgot to mention Carlos Rodon. I mean, you got those three, and then you got Schlittler. I mean, we might have too many. We might have too many starters, or we could do a 6-man rotation maybe. But yeah,
Well, the big name that I've heard about you guys with pitching is supposed to be Chase Hampton, right?
yeah, he's like the top. He's like the top pitching
Did he
prospect.
get hurt, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't believe he's hurt. So like the top pitching prospects that we have are Chase Hampton, I believe actually is yeah, he got hurt during spring training and got Tommy John.
Okay, that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
yeah, and he was like his ETA is supposed to be next year.
Okay.
Ben Hess is like our top pitching prospect, but he's a couple more years away. And like I'm also so used to with the Yankees. I'm kind of used to them like just kind of taking their sweet ass time with these prospects
Oh yeah.
that I was a little surprised. I mean, they kind of, like I think if Clark Schmidt didn't get hurt, like you'd basically just be like waiting for something to happen for any of these guys to come out. So I think it's kind of like for Schlittler, I think it was kind of like the unfortunate perfect storm of the other top pitching prospect getting hurt and Clark Schmidt also getting hurt, losing both of them to Tommy John. That kind of like cleared the way for him. But that's baseball, and that's how that's kind of how opportunities arise.
I I remember I forget who got hurt that allowed Daniel Murphy to come up, and it was really at the time it was like you can't really play anywhere, but like you gotta play him. Like he
Yeah,
just hits. It's like, all right, well we'll figure it out. Made a career out of that. It's like it's what you do in that moment. So maybe this is the thing that allows Cam Schwittler to have a 12-year career in the rotation. Like, who knows?
yeah. No, it's sometimes sometimes you just need sometimes you just need an opening or an opportunity to prove yourself. So definitely hoping that he can continue to kill it after the All-Star break. We got a series coming up. We got a series coming up with the Cubs. So to close out the first half of the season. So that'll definitely be a big test going into the break. We got Rodon today or tomorrow. We got Freed Saturday, and then we got Will Warren versus Imanaga on Sunday. So I think it's another series where if you could take 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, then we might be all the way back.
This is going to be one of the rare instances where I'm going to ask the Yankees for a favor.
Yeah.
So the Cubs tomorrow are going to start Chris Flexen. It's his first start of the year, but he's thrown 32 innings and 17 appearances. He's 5-0 with an ERA of .83 and a WHIP of .86. I watched that man for 3 years in the Mets bullpen in the late 2010s. Be a 24 pack of ass every time he came out there. His 3 years with the Mets, 7.88 ERA, 12.79, 6.59.
Yeah.
Now I got to watch him be this at age 31? No.
Yeah, for the Cubs,
Cut
a
that
team
out.
that you're like, yeah, especially like for the Cubs, a team you're like directly competing with for like
I don't
positioning
I
in the
don't need
National League.
I don't need Chris Flexen building on this and having the confidence to think that he's a major league pitcher. He was
Yeah,
on the White Sox last year. He made 30 starts for the White Sox last year and had an ERA of 5.
yeah.
I don't need God forbid we face the Cubs in the playoffs and he comes in the 8th inning and be like, man, what a wonderful story. Chris Flexen faces the team he debuted. No,
Yeah, all he
stop
had to
that.
do was yeah, no, all he had to do was get out of the South Side, I guess.
Just yeah. So if you guys want to bomb him back to the Stone Age, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I would really enjoy if we could do that too. The Chris Flexen feel good story does have to it's got to end at it's got to end at some point. It's already been going on too long, as far as I'm concerned.
Is that game at Wrigley or is that at Yankee Stadium?
This is at Yankee Stadium this series, so we close out. So we close out at home.
You guys do that thing where you find out what he one of his side jobs were when he wasn't playing baseball and just chant that at him. That works, right? I remember
There's
this.
always that's
Randy
always
Dobnik treatment.
always an option.
I,
Yeah,
I'm,
I remember
there are
we
not
berated
many
that
things I'm
Uber
not
driver
above.
for the Twins.
Yeah, there are a few things I'm not above.
Yeah,
This being on the list.
yeah, no one's above that. And if you think you are, you're lying.
Listen. I was someone that I was wagging my finger at the time. Now, try anything tomorrow. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll. I'm sure we'll come up with something. I'm sure if he does have some odd job that he can be harassed about it, I'm sure someone in the bleacher creatures will relay the message.
Surprisingly, again for you guys, this is not a national TV series. That's
Yeah,
very without a guess.
no Fox game on Saturday, which
Yeah,
I'm fine with. Looks like what are they? What even are they? It looks like they're doing Phillies, Padres, and Rangers, Astros are like the national games on Saturday, and I think Sunday because it's like the Sunday before the All
yeah,
Star
there is
game.
none.
There's no ESPN game, so
Well, also,
yeah,
I think because baseball's now made it a thing where the Sunday before the All-Star game, like the futures game is going to happen in the afternoon, and then that night is night one of the draft.
that's
So I
right.
think they want to
Yeah,
do it where it's like, okay, well, we're going to put all the attention on this, so no Sunday night game. I
yeah,
forgot that until right now.
that's right. Yeah, the futures game is actually on Saturday,
Oh, that's
but
right. Oh, yeah, because they're going to do the celebrity softball thing on Sunday, and the HBCU Classic. There's that too.
right. But yeah, so no Sunday, no ESPN Sunday night baseball. So
Thank
give
God.
easy on the ears.
Thankful. I don't know if you heard that in the broadcast today, but they apparently the Mets series in San Fran at the end of the month, the Sunday game got moved to ESPN, and Gary Cohen talked about it, and he's not happy about it. And I'm like, buddy, neither are we. I'd much rather. I'm trying to see who we have in who representing our team in the futures game. George Lombard will be the Yankee representative, and I think he's the only one.
Hmm.
And then for the NL, Jonah Tong and Carson Bench. It would be pretty sick if Jonah Tong was just actually playing in the major leagues, but some things are crazy to ask for, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently that is too much to ask for.
Yeah. Another reason I'm envious of you guys actually calling up a pitching prospect and he works out sick. Must be
Yeah.
cool. I wouldn't
no,
know.
it's nice when those things happen. Yeah, I guess it would also be nice if Mark Vientos could do anything for you.
It might be the time. And I'm not even saying like he's done or any of that. And we may have mentioned this on the show recently, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I don't necessarily buy the talk that he was a 1-year wonder or that it was like, oh, well, he was just hot for 3 months. Because if
I
that
don't
was
think so
true, we said this last week, in the playoffs, it's the best pitching. Those are the best teams, so they're going to have the best staffs. And if that was true, if ever there was going to be a time to be found out, it would have been in the playoffs last year. And
Right.
I think we could say unequivocally, Mark Vientos for the whole of the playoffs last year was their best hitter. Had the most RBI in one postseason by any Met hitter ever. So that didn't solve it. So I don't know if it's a physical thing. I don't know if teams had a whole offseason to figure out, all right, hey, how are we dealing with this guy or what? But between the fact that he didn't hit before the injury, he's really not hitting since he came back, and then you add in the fact that Ronnie Mauricio probably I can't remember the exact date on the numbers for Mauricio and when it really started to click for him, but it's been about the past month for him where it's the power's been there. So he's got that, but he's
He's
become much
clearly
more
the better
disciplined.
player at
Like
this
it's
point.
not just, hey, if he's not making hard contact, you can get him. He's finding other ways to contribute at the plate. He's taking a few walks. You know, he's never going to be a guy that's a 410 on base. Like, fine. But he's doing enough where he's not just swinging at everything. And he handles third base well enough that you don't, every grounder to third, you're not like, oh no. You're just like, all
Yeah.
right, he might make a mistake. That's fine. Everybody
Yeah,
will.
his defense is like it's a step above serviceable. It's
Yeah.
not great, but it's a little more than it's a little bit better than serviceable.
And this was from Anthony DeComo, I believe, following the doubleheader. On the morning of June 23rd, Brett Beatty was hitting 216, 266, 404 with a 26.9% strikeout rate, a 6% walk rate, and a 46.7% hard hit rate. Since June 23rd, Beatty is hitting 326, 384, 478 with a 17.3 strikeout percent rate, a 9.6% walk rate, and a 51.4% hard hit rate. And as we've said all year, Beatty's fielding has probably been his best trait, and now the bat is catching up to it, which this whole time we always thought it was going to be the other way around, was whether the glove was going to catch up to the bat.
Yeah.
And he's now looking like a serviceable major league hitter. I know the numbers on the year maybe don't catch the eye, but I mean, really for these past 3 or 4 weeks where outside of the Fab Four, as we now call them, and Jeff McNeil, Brett Beatty's probably been the best hitter outside of them. So now it becomes a case of, well, you got to get Beatty in wherever you can, and Mauricio's doing enough, especially against against left-handed pitching. He was killing right-handed pitching even when he was slumping, and now he's doing enough against left-handed pitching that you're like, I mean, would I want him facing Tarek Skubal? No. If a run-of-the-mill lefty's in there, okay.
Yeah,
and you get Beatty in wherever you can because you know his defense is going to play because he plays well at second too. So it's okay. Well, we got to get Beatty in where we can, and we got to give Mauricio a couple runs a week. So where does that leave Mark Vientos, at least in terms of 2025? I don't know. And this might be a year, like I'm not saying trade him, cut him in the offseason, none of that. Sometimes you just have a lost year, and maybe he just needs an offseason to recalibrate where it's, okay, maybe you're not going to hit the highs of 2024, but we know you're a better hitter than this. We've seen you do it. Right. And maybe just, getting another offseason to where now, because I don't know what he was doing in the offseason last year. I mean, I assume he was in the cages working, but I think it might behoove him to look at video of how this year's gone and look at those at bats and go, okay, this didn't work. This is what they were getting me on. This is what I can't do.
Yeah.
How are we going to fix this?
Yeah.
I think at least for the next 2.5 months or however long this is going to go for the Mets, running Beatty or Mauricio out there every day at third base might be the move. Or, I mean, I've even seen some suggestions where it's, hey, if you go trade for a third baseman, fine, but Mauricio has to be a bench bat. He's hit well enough to prove that. And Brett Beatty has hit well enough.
Yeah, he's hit well enough to stay on the team too. Yeah.
And with McNeil playing in center field, like this isn't an unrealistic idea.
Yeah, how about McNeil? He's like a top 25 hitter now.
Yeah, and Beatty at second and be okay with that. So.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's one of those things like it definitely seems like there are better options right now for the Mets at third base, and just like overall configuring their lineup, it seems like Vientos doesn't necessarily fit into that. But I would agree. I'd say, get him an off season of training away from Eric Chavez. I'm sure that'll help.
Also,
that'll help. And I think also, I don't think it's a situation where like he needs to go down to Syracuse like Alvarez did. I think he just, I think he might just be a bench. Assuming you don't trade for a third baseman, I think he's just a bench bat, honestly.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I mean, he's
possible.
someone who could come off the bench, and he has power. So he's someone that if
Yeah,
you're in a spot, he could, you could definitely count on him to deliver you a big hit. I mean, and especially like looking ahead to like the playoffs and stuff. He had such a good playoffs last year. You can't just dismiss that either.
right. Like that's a guy who's not like the lights aren't too bright for him. That was
Exactly.
in each series he had a moment. So like even as the quality of pitching is supposed to get better because yeah, like even the Dodgers, he got his licks in against them too. So, but I guess it's more just the disappointment of having watched how 2024 went. You thought, okay, well that's third base done.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
we're trying to construct whatever the next 5 to 7 years of this team's going to look like, well, he's 26, 27 years old. Boom,
yeah. You feel
that's
pretty.
just done. And
Yeah, you
now it's
feel
like,
pretty established. Now it's like, yeah,
all right, are we back at square one?
yeah. I don't think you're back at square one. I think you're at square. But you do kind of need to hit the reset button a little bit. Uh,
Yeah, and
like,
maybe just for right now, this is what they have to do. Like
yeah,
this is what's working, and it's not an enviable place to be when you have someone like Vientos who's still really last year. I mean, this was really his first full season. Remember, last year he lost the DH job coming out of spring training to JD Martinez. I think made the roster, had a walk-off home run in April, and then got sent down. And then
right.
came back up because Brett Beatty wasn't hitting. And it was, all right, well, hey, you got another shot, man. You better do something with this. So even last year, for as much success as he had, like that wasn't by design. They didn't give him the third base job right out of the chute and said, "Yep, this is our guy. We know it's going to work." It just happened to work, and I think
Yeah,
they thought this year, like, well, we've got our guy for the next 7 to 10 years. So
yeah,
even this kind of hasn't gone according to plan. So
right.
it's not an enviable position of you're still trying to figure out what he is, but you're trying to win a World Series. I think even at this point last year, after it had been turned around, I still don't think we could say, hey, yeah, this team has designs on the World Series. It's are they competitive? Are they going to keep doing this? So you just stuck with what was working. It was hey,
Right.
they got back into it. Vientos is hit and might as well run with it. I don't think they're afforded that luxury this year. And rightfully so. This is a team that spent like it, that earned it last year. They earned those expectations by doing what they did last year. And Mark Vientos is not the 2024 Mark Vientos. Well, you got two guys at third right now that can either hit well enough or play well enough out there.
Yeah.
And if the goal is to get a World Series, well, you got to go with
You
what's
gotta
working.
play your best guys, and he's definitely not the best. He's definitely not the best option right now at third. But yeah, I don't think that I don't think his story is over. But yeah, right now it's not good. I mean, they say if you get 3 hits, out of every 10 at bats, you're a Hall of Famer. But Vientos has 3 hits in like his last 10 games, so it's and that dates back to before his was he on the IL or was he sent to
No, he was on.
Syracuse?
He had the hamstring injury during the Dodger series in LA.
That's right.
And just to kind of give you an idea of how, and part of it's one of those things where when it's not going well, nothing goes right.
Yeah.
He came into the first game today when Winker left with the back tightness, and it was like all of a sudden, like they came back from break and he was leading off, and it's like, well, hey, what's this? And as they're talking about it, he squares one up and hits it to left, which it's not even the part of left field where it's not the Gleyber Torres wall. It was closer to like where the bullpens are in left field in Baltimore, and it died about 4 feet short of the track, or 4 feet short of the wall. It's like,
Might have been
man,
a home run. Might have been a home run before they dejuiced the balls.
well, and also it's one of those things that's like I bet last year like that goes like it's that
Yeah,
kind of
one
year
of
for
those
Mark
things. It's like,
Vientos.
oh, you could hit a ball right on the screws, like get a perfect, and it still just doesn't fall your way. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything at play, as as there is when a big league player is in a slump. But I think I would say I would still have faith that he'll eventually that he'll eventually figure it out. It's just
Oh yeah, I don't think
right
this is the end
now.
for him by any means.
Right now though he can't be the everyday third baseman if you want to be considered a serious baseball team. He can't be the everyday
I,
third
I always
baseman.
like to I always like to believe in the idea of I'd like to think we can do both. I don't know if that's possible right now.
Yeah,
Not when it's very clear, hey, yeah, maybe Beatty's finally putting the hitting tools together, which there was a reason why at the start of 2024 he was the favorite out of the three because he had hit at every level and he had the pop. And Mauricio was someone that always had the raw tools, and it was like I don't know if he'll ever put it together, but if he puts like three of them together, you got something. Well, it's kind of getting there. Like
yeah,
the glove is good enough. The power he's shown off, like he has the ability to connect, and he's developing enough plate discipline now where pitchers can't just be like, all right, well, two fastballs and a slider, and I got him. It's like, no, you're
yeah,
like, you got to approach him like everyone else in this lineup. And when the other one's scuffling and he can't really play defense, this is just, I mean, I'm not going out of my way to slander him. Like everybody knows this. Yeah, you got to go with Beatty and Mauricio at this point. And this is also where hindsight's funny because I think I would have been one of those people where it's like, okay, if you're going to move on from Pete, I guess you do have you just can move Vientos over to first. I wasn't someone who was actively saying, yeah, do that. But I'm like, all right, if that's the move, fine.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
you could
good
get
thing you
by with
didn't.
that.
Oh, boy.
Now imagine. Vientos. Yeah, I mean, maybe Vientos is hitting. Maybe in a different world where Vientos is playing, an easier position, maybe he's hitting slightly better, but
Perhaps.
perhaps. But it does seem like whatever issues he's having at the plate right now run far deeper than that.
Yeah. I mean, he was having the defensive issues last year. It didn't stop him. So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, either way, I think that he could still figure it out. He just he can't. He's got to ride the pine for at least for now until one of Beatty or Mauricio cools down, which obviously you hope that doesn't happen, or definitely don't want anyone getting hurt or anything like that. But it seems like right now Vientos is kind of the odd man out of the lineup. And I mean, I guess if Pete ever needs a day off, you could give him like a spot start at first base here and there.
yeah.
Or I know or maybe I mean, he can't really be the DH if you can't hit. But if he could figure it out, and if this Jesse Winker injury is serious, like maybe there's a world where he finds his way back in the lineup as like a DH. But yeah, he definitely can't be the everyday third baseman.
Well, technically right now I don't know who the DH is because we mentioned Winker. I think they sent back to New York after the first game. So you definitely probably aren't seeing him this weekend. I would bet most likely. I mean, they could always do a retroactive, but I would feel pretty comfortable saying we don't see him for the Cincinnati series coming out of the break.
Yeah,
And Starling Marte is on the IL right now with a knee
he
issue.
just went to IL.
Yeah, and they retroactive that, and Mendoza and I think even Marte said, yeah, we think he'll be there, when we come back from the break. But he's 36, and knee issues, especially for someone who relies on explosiveness, even though it's diminished. Like he still relies on his speed. You can't bet on, like, okay, he'll definitely be there. There's some guys that when they go on 10-day, you're like, okay, yeah, see you in 10 days. At 36, especially with something like knees, it would be serious for anybody, but especially at that age, about to bounce back. Yeah, as of right now, the Mets DH, I would venture, at least for this weekend going into Kansas City, it's probably just going to be whoever needs time off from the field. Like if McNeil's
Well,
like, hey, can I just DH? Mendoza will probably DH him. Um, if they want to put Vientos there, they can do that. If one of Beatty or Mauricio is not out in the field, they'll probably DH. I think they're probably just going to play it by game right now. So yeah, if Vientos does have a potential route back into this lineup if he can figure it out.
yeah. Do you maybe call Francisco Alvarez back up to play some DH, or would someone else have to get hurt or sent down? Like, would you need another opening on the roster to be able to do that? Or I'm not even too sure. Like, how's he been doing in Syracuse? I know he's hit a couple of home
Oh,
runs.
I want to say it's like 4 or 5, and I feel like the general reaction has been like, well, we knew he'd do that. Like
Yeah,
that's old hat for him. Like we've seen him hit well at the major league level. We've seen him hit in the playoffs like this. That okay, this will be old hat to him. It's how's he
everything
going to
else.
handle off speed stuff? How's he going to handle breaking stuff? Like
Yeah,
that's
plate discipline and like
yeah,
taking what the pitcher gives you sometimes.
yeah. Him killing it at Syracuse doesn't tell us anything we didn't already know.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think
It's kind of like a reset or get your mind right more than anything.
because ideally when you call him back up, it's for him to become the everyday starting catcher again. Because right now I think they're doing this because they feel like they have to do this with him. But
Where they like put
I
you
think they
with
would love for him to
Torrens
just
and
come.
Sanger.
Yeah, I think they would love for him to come back and run with the job because
No one else
Luis
is really
Torrens
taking
handles
it.
himself very well behind the plate, but his
He's not
batting
hitting.
numbers since like mid-May are horrendous,
Yeah,
and Hayden Sanger's numbers are worse than that.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that is an automatic out in the lineup right now. That's a problem, and we're not asking Alvarez to hit 300, but we're asking him to be the guy that we saw 2 years ago. Like you could, if they can get that back in the lineup, that changes some things, or at the very least, like just be someone that when the catcher comes up right now, like, well, I guess I can go get a beer.
yeah,
I don't have to worry. Right, I'm not going to miss anything.
yeah. Like, oh yeah, like, I don't want to watch fucking DJ LeMahieu. Time to go take a piss, type of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
like
So
I was out tonight, but when you're out and about, you check your game cast and you're like, all right, are we doing
push.
anything? What do we got? And I saw we had a couple guys on in the ninth. I'm like, okay, maybe this will be something. It says Torrens pinch hitting for Sanger, and I'm like, well,
Well,
so much for that.
this is over.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
that was the card they had.
yeah. That was your grand plan. Yeah, they should definitely call Alvarez back up soon, I think. Um, did you want to put some respect on Edwin's name on a
It should,
brighter note?
and we should because he is. I said one of the things. I mean, and you can go back to our old shows with the Middle Initial podcast back in 21 and 22 when Case had me on, and I just was not sold on him, and I just wondered if he was going to be able to handle the big moments. Did he have the fortitude to be able to do this? Because his resume to that point, and I had gotten in so many arguments with people about this, is just that he didn't have it. And then he threw it back in my face in 2022, and I thank him for that, which I think may be the best season by any Met closer ever, at least certainly in my lifetime. And then to come back from the kind of injury that it's
Yeah,
not just that he tore his
the world.
ACL, it's that it happened the way that it did.
Just
Because
everything about it, like the World Baseball Classic, like
yeah,
celebrating. I think it just left like a really sour taste in like a lot of Mets fans' mouths. Like I'm sure at
but
that point, I'm
I
sure
think
at
if
that
you're
point you
him,
felt like, oh well, I was right. Not that you're happy to be right, but you probably felt
no,
like,
but I I think if you're him and you get hurt that way, like if you get hurt in a game or you get hurt throwing a pitch or like you land the wrong way on your follow through, like, hey, I was doing my
it
job.
happened. Yeah,
This is this can happen, but to be going out there and celebrating after a win and that happens, like there's got to be a small part in the back of your head that's like, well, this could happen anytime ever. Like I'm not guaranteed anything. They can operate on my knee and put me back together, but there's no guarantee that this can just boom happen anywhere ever again.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah, the
last year he had
mental
his
aspect
hiccups.
of that like bouncing back from that type of injury in the fashion that it happened too.
And I will always say credit to him last year because he had his hiccups during the season and got demoted at one point. But every time he had a setback, he would come back for about the next month and a half, and he looked like 2022 Diaz again. And then maybe the thing that might get lost in the insanity that was Game 161, it's him blowing the eighth inning, the Mets retaking the lead, and him telling Mendoza, "I got this shit." I
Yeah.
don't know if every closer in the sport right now would have wanted to go right back out there after that.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty that I'm sure there's plenty that obviously when you're called upon you answer as a pro, but I'm sure there are plenty that wouldn't have necessarily been volunteering for that spot.
And Mendoza
Given
said
that
he was ready.
situation.
He was ready to go to Stanek, and Diaz talked him out of it. And
So
credit
no.
to him. And to be back here this year, and wobbled a little bit in the first week, and then has been mostly excellent, and especially so since they
Yeah,
straightened
he's
his
been
leg
lights
out, which
out.
I didn't know that was a thing. But he has been. I wouldn't say necessarily that he's been 2022 Diaz in terms of style, because that year it was literally, if they got to the ninth with the lead, the game was over because it
Yeah,
was.
once the was 2022 the year of the is that when the trumpets started?
Well, no, he's had that ever since he got here.
Oh, really?
2022 was when Timmy Trumpet actually showed up and did it.
Oh,
But 2022 Diaz, it was more often than not 1, 2, 3, nothing to worry about. Is he still going to make it interesting, more interesting than it needs to be? Yeah, he'll do that occasionally. Will he do the thing where he walks the leadoff guy and the next guy gets on base and you're like, oh God, here it goes. And then he
yes.
strikes out the next three? Yeah, he'll do
He'll do
that.
that. Yeah.
But in terms of results, more often than not, and I think his numbers since I want to say late April was when the leg straightening thing happened. And since then, I think he's given up like maybe 2 runs. So credit to him. And he's also pitched in spots where, like over the weekend against the Yankees, where it was a 6-run game. I was actually kind of nervous only because historically, in non-save situations, it never goes well for him. And
Yeah.
I don't say that's just him. There's a lot of closers that don't do well in that, but him specifically, since he's been with the Mets, there's been a lot of 5-run games that he came into that turned into 2-run games. And I was like, oh no. No, went
Yeah.
right through that.
The
The
last
other,
time the last time Diaz gave up an earned run was against the Dodgers on June 2nd, and the last time before that was against the Phillies like in like late April. So
okay.
yeah, he's given up 2 runs he's given up 2 runs like this whole season.
And Tuesday night in Baltimore, after they had tied the game, they brought him in for the bottom of the ninth. And that's been another one where
Actually, that's a lie. He did get beat up a little bit by the Marlins, but yeah, since then, yeah, he's given up 2 runs.
and
You are
that was like early April, wasn't it?
yeah, the Marlins series, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
April 9th.
Yeah, like the first week or so of the season, it was like, is he all right? What's we're
Yeah,
not going to do this again, are we?
yeah,
And then he got through it.
yeah.
But even on
I feel like a lot of relievers kind of went through that. Like Diaz went through it. Clase had a rough start to the year.
yeah,
Devin Williams had a rough start. Like I feel like it's happened to a lot of like the elite closers in baseball.
but on Tuesday night, he comes into the tie game in the ninth inning, and a lot of managers wouldn't have done that, and B, I remember more than a few situations where Diaz struggled with that, which it's the high wire act of it all, but he's
Yeah,
for a long time it was one of those, if he's not in with a 3-run lead or less, you don't know what's going to happen,
right.
and it just I don't know if 2022 was his 10 out of 10 ceiling. So far this year, he's been a 9 out of 10, and I'd even say a
Yeah,
9.5 out of 10.
yeah,
He
yeah. I was gonna say 9.5 at least.
he's been like I said, it's not always going to look squeaky clean and perfect, but more often than not, I'm not even more often than not, he's blown exactly one save all year. Pretty much every time, you feel pretty good that he's out there, and somehow, some way, they're going to get through this. And I credit him a lot because those first 3 seasons with the Mets were not easy. There were a lot of hiccups. There were a lot of people that wrote him off, myself included. And I might be prisoner of the moment as I say this. I can't remember a Met who proved me more wrong than Edwin Diaz has over these past 4 seasons. And to be able to withstand all that in New York, especially the pressure of the trade that he was involved in, because everyone looked at it at the time as the Robinson Cano trade, when really Seattle was stapling that contract to him. It's like, oh, you want our closer so badly? You're taking him
Yeah,
too.
you have to do us a favor. Yeah, I feel like it was really more known as the Cano trade just because of like the connection he had with the Yankees,
And
obviously,
he's
into
the
the
headliner.
area.
I mean, of who he is.
Yeah,
He
but
was
yeah,
more
no, at that
complicated at
point,
that point.
yeah, at that point he was at that point, yeah, Cano was already like fairly washed.
But yeah, I mean, for him to rally to the degree he has, not just from the physical standpoint of coming back from the ACL, but the fact that maybe he didn't get off to the best start with the Mets, and people were calling him all kinds of names. I mean, I
Yeah,
called him
it
Edwin
was.
Benitez for a long time. I I was wrong, and
Yeah,
to have someone that you generally trust, and we've said it here on the show before. It's like Rivera has made it an impossible bar for any other closer ever.
yeah,
More often than not, like Edwin's walking in, we'll be all right.
yeah. Like you hear Timmy trumpets, 9 times out of 10 the game's over. Or 9.5 times out of 10
Yeah.
the game's over, and that's
And I
kind of.
want to say, I think even the blown save he had, I think they might. Let me check the game log. I think they might have won that game too.
Are you talking about the game against the Dodgers? Because
Yeah,
they did, yeah, they did end up winning that game. So
yeah,
he really hasn't, like he really hasn't blown a save and where it, where it really mattered since like that Marlins series.
yeah. And even that one, that was a game where they were already behind.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. So
so,
he
so
really,
we're for
yeah,
sure
he
good.
really hasn't like blown any saves then this year, or he's blown
No,
like
it
one.
genuinely has not cost them a game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's especially with how volatile of a position like closing pitchers are in general and relief pitchers, and especially with like with how much because we talk a lot about how taxed the Mets bullpen has been, and
Yeah,
I kind of feel like some of the Mets relievers that are struggling might just be taxed at the moment, like the All-Star break probably couldn't come at a better time for like
yeah.
guys like Ryan Stanek and stuff like and people like that.
Part of me kind of wonders if the reason that they've punted 2 of the past 4 or 5 games is Mendoza not just saying, "Look, we just need the week off. Wait, let's get
Yeah,
to Sunday and then we'll figure stuff out there." But like, and I know Diaz is going, but no guarantee that he gets in. I know Peterson got added today. No guarantee that he pitches
right.
on Tuesday night. But for everyone else on that staff, it's going to be 5 days to breathe, to not have to do all your stretches, to not have to worry about getting up 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
just
going to be welcome for everybody.
oh yeah, yeah. No, All-Star break always a good time to reset. You have any final thoughts on the Mets before we we'll take a pause and get on to the variety segments, which mostly is going to be All-Star stuff, but
We're about 20 days out. I mean, this is
yep,
you would hope David Stearns is making the moves
working
here
them
or
phones.
making the phone calls to. I would say, obviously, one, get some help for the bullpen, get some depth. A starting pitcher is probably less of a concern now because Kodai Senga will be back tomorrow night. Sean Manaea will be back on Sunday. That'll help a lot. But also, Clay Holmes is already over. If he's not over 100 innings, he's about to be. And they knew they were going to hit this at some point. Frankie Montas, you don't know what you're going to get from him. And there's no guarantee that everyone's just going to be magically fine the rest of the way. I would still make a call about a starting pitcher if I could, and also potentially maybe look for a DH. I
Yeah,
we just pitched the idea of Vientos running with this, but if there's a guy that you know is out there and it's like, yeah, we can put that guy at DH and we're not gonna have to worry. Like that's a set it and forget it position. If you can find one of those at DH, by all means.
yeah, yeah. No, that could. Yeah. Like filling a DH slot with someone who can hit, because you kind of, with injuries, kind of don't have that right now. That could definitely
And you have
make
no
a good
certainty about
difference.
who's returning.
Yeah, yeah. The Yankees definitely got some phones to work as well. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for that'll do it for this portion of the programming, and so we'll take a pause and come back, check back in a few days for our All-Star video.